On the morning of July 4th, Paul and his mother Marie stood under the bright studio lights of national television. They appeared on the broadcast of Good Morning America as honored guests. Millions of citizens across the country watched them embrace the traditions of the nation. The television hosts smiled at them. The live audience cheered for them. The entire country seemed to celebrate their presence. They were the perfect picture of international goodwill. But when the broadcast ended and the studio lights went dark, the reality of the institution revealed itself. Paul wanted to find a way to stay in the country legally. He assumed the warmth of the television appearance reflected the attitude of the government. He was wrong. The institutional framework of the nation did not greet them with open arms. It greeted them with a massive bill. This is not just a story about a ruined vacation. This is a story about the ultimate paradox of the modern immigration apparatus. We are looking at a system that broadcasts diversity and welcomes tourists with wide smiles on national holidays. Yet behind that carefully constructed curtain of hospitality lies an institutional machine designed to extract wealth from the very people it claims to desire. It is a bureaucratic engine that does not care about your character. It does not care about your deep respect for family values. It only cares if you have the financial resources to survive the $10,000 Shark Tank. By the time we reach the end of this investigation, you will understand exactly how a political institution can love you in front of a camera and extort you in the shadows. You will see the precise mechanisms the system uses to exploit hope. But before we expose the cold architecture of this extraction, we have to look at the bait. We have to understand the immense cultural gravity that makes people willing to risk their life savings just for a chance to stay. If you listen to the algorithms on social media platforms, you might think the United States is a landscape of constant chaos and danger. The digital world tells you that bringing an older relative to the American South is a terrible risk. Paul heard all of these warnings before he brought his mother Marie across the ocean. The internet painted a picture of a fractured and hostile society. The narratives told him to be careful. They told him to stay on guard. But the reality on the ground tells a completely different story. Paul and Marie traveled deep into the heart of Tennessee. They did not just stay in the tourist traps. They explored Franklin. They visited Clarksville. They walked through Hendersonville. And everywhere they went, the local citizens treated them with incredible decency. Marie did not feel threatened. She thrived in this environment. She felt so secure that she stayed out dancing and celebrating on the neon streets of Broadway in Nashville until 2 in the morning. She met local residents who treated her like a lifelong friend within minutes of saying hello. There was no hostility. There was only genuine warmth and profound safety. This is the side of the nation that rarely makes the evening news. It is a society built on strong community bonds and deep family values. Paul brought Marie here for a very specific reason. He wanted to show her exactly why he loved this region. He wanted her to see the potential for a completely new life. He needed her to witness the true character of the people. And she saw it clearly. They found a culture where children and grandparents can feel entirely at home. They experienced a level of peace that shattered every negative rumor they had ever encountered. The local residents of Tennessee proved that the soul of the community is incredibly generous. The people welcomed Paul and Marie without asking for a single thing in return. They offered their time. They offered their friendship. They made these visitors feel like they belonged. This kind of reception creates a profound emotional bond. When a local population treats you like family, you start to believe the institution will treat you with the same respect. You start to plan a future. You want to contribute your skills and your energy to the community that embraced you. Paul and Marie felt this deep connection taking root. They looked at the welcoming faces of the local people and assumed the legal system would be just as fair and reasonable. That is the tragedy of this grand illusion. The sincere warmth of the local citizens perfectly masks the cold reality of the institutional bureaucracy. You fall in love with the culture. You trust the smiles of your new neighbors. You let your guard down and begin to dream. And right when you decide to commit your life to this new home, the trap snaps shut. The extreme contrast between the generous citizens and the ruthless immigration system is not a tragic accident. It is a highly effective design. The culture pulls you in, and the system bleeds you dry. You're likely feeling the same deep frustration that Paul felt when he realized the truth. You might be wondering how a democratic system can be so fiercely divided between the kindness of its people and the cruelty of its laws. If you want to see exactly how this bureaucratic machine operates and why it demands such an astronomical price before anyone even looks at your paperwork, stay with me as we follow their journey deeper into the trap. They did not just skim the surface. From the long lines at gas stations to the crispy fried catfish in Hendersonville, this family embedded themselves into the core of Southern culture faster than a local could brew sweet tea. Paul and Marie traveled relentlessly from town to town. They tasted the cinnamon bread at Dollywood. They dipped it in apple butter. They ate the fried green tomatoes. They tried the fried pickles. They immersed themselves in the electric energy of Pigeon Forge. They consumed the local brisket sandwiches. They discovered the joy of a Sonic drive-thru. They ate beer cheese. The list of cultural experiences was absolutely endless. Every single day felt like a month of joy packed into a few short hours. Paul operated this trip like a highly disciplined military exercise. He set 10-minute morning routines. He set 30-minute morning routines. He customized the foam in a Yeti cooler to serve as a makeshift camera bag. He did this because he wanted to capture every single moment without looking like a typical tourist burdened with heavy gear. He recorded weeks' worth of footage in just 7 days. He captured the essence of the place. He captured the soul of the people. He documented everything because he knew this experience was rare and precious. Alongside the incredible food, they absorbed the rich local culture. Alongside the culture, they met the incredible people. Alongside the people, they experienced a profound sense of belonging. They met individuals from the internet in real life. These strangers welcomed them with open arms. The landscape offered everything a human being could desire. It had mountains. It had rivers. It had wildlife. It had vast seas and towering trees. Paul remembered a specific phrase from someone who understood this reality perfectly. He called it an embarrassment of riches. It was an overwhelming abundance of everything good about society. Does this sound like a dangerous wasteland to you? Does this match the cynical and hostile narrative we see online every single day? Paul and his mother could not believe that some citizens living in this environment actually complain about it. They felt the people complaining needed their heads checked. The environment changed the visitors physically and mentally. The sunlight gave them a healthy glow. They stopped looking like pale ghosts. America looked good on them. They soaked in the sunshine. They embraced the local customs. But a perfect illusion cannot last forever. When a society offers you an embarrassment of riches, you have to wonder what the true cost will be. Can a place really be this perfect without a hidden trap waiting in the shadows? America on the ground was opening its arms wide. The waitresses smiled. The neighbors waved. The community offered an absolute sense of belonging. But far above the warm streets of Tennessee, at the highest levels of the federal bureaucracy, the iron doors were already starting to slam shut. This is the moment the romantic dream collides with the human crushing machine. Paul looked at his mother. He looked at the vibrant life they could build here. Marie had become the absolute star of the show everywhere they went. She made friends for life in a matter of days. She fit into the fabric of Nashville perfectly. Paul made the conscious decision to seek a legal pathway to remain in the country. He asked for help. He begged for advice on how to navigate the complex immigration framework. He did not want to cheat the system. He wanted to respect the rules and bring his family over legally. He stated clearly that he would grasp any genuine opportunity for dear life. He even offered a desperate bargain. He looked at the online comments from people who hated living in the country. He offered to trade places with them. He was willing to give up everything he knew just to take the spot of someone who did not appreciate the embarrassment of riches. He wanted to do this the right way. When Paul tried to navigate the immigration laws, he did not find a welcoming guide. He did not find a clear and logical process. He stepped straight into the $10,000 shark tank. The joyful music of the vacation suddenly stopped. The warmth of the southern hospitality vanished in an absolute instant. Paul reached out to understand the legal requirements. He just wanted to relocate his family to the place they now considered their spiritual home. The response he received from the industry was not a map. The response was a massive ransom demand. The system is a deliberate maze of legal complexities designed to confuse ordinary people. Predatory organizations exist simply to profit from this exact confusion. People tried to charge him $10,000 up front just to look at his case. $10,000. Just to look. They did not guarantee a visa. They did not guarantee a pathway to citizenship. They only offered to review his name and tell him if he even had a chance to apply. The institution does not care if you respect family values. The institution does not care if your mother charmed an entire city. The institution does not care if you appeared on national television representing joy and international friendship. The bureaucracy is entirely blind to humanity. It only sees a desperate revenue stream waiting to be drained. This is the $10,000 shark tank. You swim in circles looking for a safe harbor, and the predators circle you from the dark water below. Paul and Marie had the drive to contribute to the local economy. They had the desire to integrate into the community and respect the laws. None of that mattered to the machine. The legal immigration framework is not built to welcome the willing. It is built to extract immense wealth from the hopeful. Think about this terrifying paradox for a second. Have you ever encountered a system that actively punishes the exact behavior its own citizens claim to encourage? Tell me in the comments if you think a democratic society can survive when its local community welcomes people, but its federal government extorts them. Does a $10,000 entry fee protect the nation, or does it just enrich a massive predatory legal industry? Drop your thoughts below because we need to debate this reality right now. You might think that massive fee ensures a smooth process. You might believe it secures a permanent home for good people. No. That money is just the ticket for the machine to acknowledge your existence. But how deep does this exploitation really go? The $10,000 shark tank is not a glitch in a broken system. It is the core feature of a highly functioning extraction machine. While the small businesses and local communities in places like Gatlinburg desperately need hardworking individuals who value family, the federal legal framework erects an invisible and massive toll booth. Paul and Marie faced an apparatus that thrives on making legal entry nearly impossible without a staggering wealth transfer. Think about the historical precedent of immigration in this country. Decades ago, the system was built on the promise of welcoming those who wanted to work, build, and integrate into the society. The physical borders match the cultural invitation. Today, that alignment is completely shattered. It has become a closed loop of legal extortion. The government actively uses media events like the July 4th broadcast on Good Morning America to project an image of an inclusive melting pot. They put charming foreign families like Paul and Marie on television to show the entire world how welcoming the nation remains. It is a brilliant public relations strategy. They broadcast the diversity. They showcase the smiles. They celebrate the international friendship. But behind the scenes, the immigration apparatus and the private consulting industry work hand in hand to drain the resources of those very same people. The local citizens of Tennessee genuinely want these immigrants. They need them to keep their communities vibrant and alive. Alongside the locals, the regional economy needs them. Alongside the economy, the cultural fabric thrives on their fresh energy and appreciation. But the federal system completely ignores the local reality. It prefers to keep the gates locked tight unless you are willing to pay the ransom up front. The institutions want the aesthetic of diversity without the actual human beings, unless those human beings possess enormous disposable income. The nation will gladly put you on national television to praise the American spirit, but it will ruthlessly bleed you dry the second the studio lights turn off. This creates a devastating emotional whiplash. You spend a week experiencing the absolute best of humanity in places like Franklin and Clarksville. You see a society where family units are strong, where people are safe, and where opportunity seems endless. You decide to play by the rules. You ask for the proper paperwork. You ask for a fair evaluation of your potential contribution to the society. And the response is a demand for $10,000 just to assess your basic eligibility. They do not promise a visa. They do not promise a green card. They simply promise to look at your name in exchange for a small fortune. The machine does not ask if you respect the laws. It does not ask if you bring a strong work ethic. It only asks for your credit card. When Paul was hit with that massive fee, he realized the ultimate truth about the modern system. The bureaucracy is not broken due to incompetence. It operates exactly as intended. It filters out the passionate and extracts cash from the desperate. This is the dark side of the Allure. The people of Nashville gave Marie the welcome of a lifetime. They treated her with a level of respect that you cannot buy. Yet the federal framework treats her like a liability. This disconnect is the defining crisis of modern governance. You have a population that is open, generous, and ready to share their embarrassment of riches. Then you have a ruling class that builds a fortress around that wealth and charges admission just to look at the walls. This is how a political institution weaponizes hope. It uses the genuine warmth of its citizens as bait to lure in dreamers, and then it unleashes the legal predators to feast on their savings. Ultimately, Paul and his mother Marie had to pack their bags and accept defeat. They had to board a flight to Boston to kill time before leaving the country entirely. The vibrant days of eating brisket and dancing on Broadway faded into a stark reality. At the very end of their journey, Marie was left sitting with just 2 crackers and a cup of tea. The contrast is sharp, cruel, and completely unforgiving. On one side, you have the warm people of the American South who embrace strangers with total sincerity. On the other side, you have a cold administrative machine that permanently blocks the door. America is undeniably an embarrassment of riches. It possesses the energy, the people, the landscapes, and the culture to completely change a human life in a matter of days. Paul and Marie felt that change in their bones, but as long as the $10,000 Shark Tank remains in place, we have to confront a deeply uncomfortable reality. We have to ask a massive moral question. Is this cultural treasure still available to those who truly deserve it? Or is it now exclusively reserved for those who can afford to pay the systemic ransom? If the legal framework continues to punish the exact people the local communities want to welcome, what does that mean for the future of the nation? The gap between the people and the power has never been wider. We are watching a system devour the very values it claims to protect. Do not let this injustice fade into the background. If you want to bear witness to the hidden forces shaping our reality and see where this fight leads next, stay with us on this channel as we track this unfinished story. Because this is not just a borderline, this is a battleground.